All right, draft season. Today, we're looking at Ryan Kalkbrenner out of Creighton, Baylor Shireman's teammate for multiple seasons. A massive human being who I think was the second tallest player measured at the combine this year. I will pull that up. But Ryan Kalkbrenner, multi-time defensive player of the year in college with the Blue Jays. He's huge. We've done plenty of talking about him as we've discussed potential guys the Celtics could draft in this year's draft at 28 or 32. He spent 5 years, with Creighton in the Big East, so he has to enter the draft, and he has led the conference in blocks for 3 years in a row, so we're going to look at him today.
Yep. 4-time Big East Conference Player of the Year, all in a row. He's somebody who is comfortable protecting the rim, as Jack said. His offensive game is kind of versatile. He will shoot the three. He's not like super efficient at it. He's not bad at it. He's a decent catch and finish guy and has some post moves, but he's kind of slow. So it'll be fun to watch the highlights. When I looked at him, I felt like he could be a nice Kornet understudy if Kornet sticks around to try and figure out, the things that Kornet does to be effective in his way. The know-how of Kornet, which is something that is very difficult to talk about because he just has such a great feel for the game where he's able to be in the right spot without necessarily shooting a bunch of threes to help space the floor, and he has a real knack for that. So it's tough to replace those things, but if you can learn from somebody who's got it like that, then by all means.
Sorry, so I thought there was going to be something that came after by all means.
Yeah.
Yes, Ryan Kalkbrenner, second tallest player measured at the combine, 7'1" without shoes, so he is just a giant dude. Rocco Zakarski measured at 7'3" without shoes, which is kind of insane. I know he's a very, very raw prospect, but I just thought that was crazy. But let's take a look at some of Ryan Kalkbrenner's highlights. Also, people interested in wingspan. Ryan Kalkbrenner's wingspan measured at the NBA Draft Combine was a 7'6" wingspan, which might be the biggest in the class. Second biggest wingspan in the class behind Kaman Malawach. So let's take a look at some of these highlights from his super senior season at Creighton with the Blue Jays. I'll pull it up here. My computer's going a little slow today, so please bear with me. Let's take a look. 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Ryan Kalkbrenner, right here. All right. Some scoring first. See you guys off the dribble. Pretty quick drive for a guy who is 7'2". He seems pretty quick on his feet here. These look like very Luke Kornet-esque lobs, which I think is a good thing if you're looking to draft a guy. I'm not a huge Kalkbrenner guy. These highlights are turning me a little bit for the offense. It's just I know we talked with Tyler about this, right? He moves slow, and it's like, yeah, obviously he moves slow because he's huge. I don't know. I worry about the way he moves slow on defense, but I will happily be proven wrong. I just worry that you get into the Zach Edey territory defensively at times.
I mean, the billing on him is that he is somebody who you have to play and drop. That's what all the scouting reports say. And, coming into the league, I think that is acceptable. I think there's room to grow. Maybe you can help him be a little bit more mobile, help him move his feet a little bit better, train. I think playing in college enables the lethargic, slow big men a little bit because they can play zone and you can get away with not being able to guard the perimeter because they don't really have to switch everything defense. If they're in a zone, they're pretty good. And plus the shooting isn't as elite, so you can get away with going under screens and so on. But he has a minimal offensive game, but it's one that you could see fitting into the Celtics' way of doing things. The catching and finishing is really important for anybody who's not going to be able to shoot a bunch of threes. He can shoot him. His jumper's a little bit slow. It actually looks a lot like Kornet's jump shot, unironically, thinking back to when he first got with the Celtics and he was taking them. But I don't really know how much they would use him. I guess they would just have to see how efficient he would be first rather than just being like, okay, the best thing you can do for us offensively is to play in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge. We can take a look at some of his passing and defense too, as long as I hope that you get some defensive highlights in here. This one is not categorized as nicely as some of the other highlight tapes we get, so I might have to scroll through and look for some defensive highlights, but that's all right. We can take a look here. We see some rebounding. I mean, he's massive. He should be getting these rebounds. I might have to search around for some defensive highlights just because, but We can see some defense here. He moves his feet all right. He blocked this with his offhand. Yes. He like didn't block it with the.
He had
a
the
weird
hand
block.
closest to the offensive player.
Obviously the defense is going to be there. I mean, you're 7'1". He's won Defensive Player of the Year 4 years in a row, at Creighton. So that's a pretty good sign.
He did have a game this year where he had 49 points.
That is crazy. That is insane.
In college, that's crazy.
It was over UTRGV.
All right, maybe we like make it a weighted 32 points.
You see the defense there. He's keeping up with these small guards. I don't know. I think you get a Cornet, right? I think at bare minimum, he could fill out into a Cornet. I don't think he'll be Cornet right away. I think he'll need to get used to the speed of the NBA and everything. And that's another thing maybe you worry about. Like, is he just, depending on his size too much in college, a la Zach Edey. I'm not saying Zach Edey's going to be a bad NBA player, but it could take you a while. He had a rough rookie season. I'm talking about Edey. And maybe Kalkbrenner could, fall victim to the same fate. But at the very least, he should grow into somebody similar to that if he can get his bearings under him. I don't know if he's going to be shooting many jump shots in the Celtics system. That the jump shot does not look like it's going to be getting the green light from Joe Mazzulla and the rest of the coaching staff. But if he can screen, if he can roll, if he can position himself well defensively, that's fine. It's just how many fouls will he have per game? He didn't average a lot in college, actually, which is pretty incredible. He averaged 1.4 personal fouls this past season, which is insane for a center. So hopefully that translates. But then again, it's going to be
considering he was almost 3 blocks a game.
Yeah, very different competition. I think it's a very safe pick, which is a good thing, right? If you need a big man, add this guy to the lineup. I think he'd instantly, if you re-sign Cornet and Horford and trade Porzingis, he'll instantly be your third center, right? He'll instantly step in as, okay, yeah, we can bring this guy off the bench. I think he's better than Tillman and Cater right away. I think he'll be like a very safe sound. Okay, this guy's pretty good. We can give him some run. And then you kind of go from there. But
with the Zach Edey comps, it was a weak class, but Edey did make the first team all-rookie this year. So there's hope. I don't think the Celtics would be asking him to play Edey minutes where he would have the opportunity to make the impact that Edey made. And Edey certainly wasn't perfect. He ended the season very poorly in the playoffs. He was getting abused, and it was a huge talking point throughout their series with the Thunder. But there's room for it. I just like that you can envision Kalkbrenner as a low-usage guy, and he moves faster than Edey, at least by watching this. Like, he runs the floor really well. He doesn't look like he's loafing around as much. There are moments. I think the post-game looks a little bit slow, but again, in the NBA, I don't think that anyone's going to be asking him to play out of the post. At least not consistently.
For sure not. I don't think he'll be playing much out of the post. For this, let's take a look. Let's see. This sorts it a little bit more. So let's see. We can take a look at some of his blocks here, more defined. Like we can take a look at the blocks and see how he defends the rim. It looks like he moves a few.
The Yahoo comps are Jakob Pertl and Walker Kessler. So
it's not bad. That's not bad. He moves his feet a lot better than I remember seeing last time I watched. Again, still worry about the fouling a little bit. Still worry about the lumbering around and how often defenses target him. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, like the fact that he stayed out of foul trouble in college is a huge, huge plus. Zach Edey, for comparison, his senior season, I want to see. So 1.4 fouls per game for Ryan Kalkbrenner his last season in college. Zach Edey was at 1.9. So actually not that many, but still. We'll have to see how it translates. He's obviously huge. Let's see. Post-ups. I don't think we'll be doing much of that. What else we got? We have any more defensive highlights in here. We got pick and pops, pick and rolls. Anyways, let's take a look at Sleepers Media. They did their video on him. We can take a look and listen to what they think about him, how they think he'll pan out in the big leagues. And they do best and worst, as long as my computer doesn't put it on a weird screen here. All right. So some of their takes here. Shout out to Sleepers Media. These guys are goated. Strengths for Kalkbrenner: rim protector, strong hand, soft touch, shooting upside, and defensive IQ. Their weaknesses for Kalkbrenner, if it will let me scroll and find them, include lateral quickness, perimeter defense, and athleticism, which, Yeah, that tracks. That makes sense.
Eye test.
Yep. Floor, ceiling. One of them thinks he'll reach his ceiling. One of them thinks he'll reach his floor. So that's not a very good, back. 5 years, think he'll be a bench player, which, I mean, again, makes sense.
Yeah.
So we can listen to best and worst.
Best case player comparison for Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Big foreshadow. My best case was Brook Lopez. I think
Not
that
bad.
Brook Lopez struggled a lot shooting. Like, he didn't shoot threes at Stanford, did not shoot threes for like the first 8 years of his career, basically. And Kalk really didn't do much of that either. But the free throw percentage itself gives me a lot of hope that he can.
The guy you can play 30 minutes a game, that it becomes one of the best centers in the league. I think there's an outcome where that happens. Worst case comp, kind of got a gut feel we have the same name for this.
I said Luke Cornett.
Ooh, no. I said
that's not a bad worst case. That is my hope.
Listen. I don't want to judge what people watch and how they consume basketball. I want to listen to this guy talk about Luke Cornett and see if he understands, because Colin Castleton is, I think, a pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Because he could mean something very different than us watching Luke Cornett versus him calling him Luke Cornett.
Is he in the NBA?
He was with the Lakers at one point.
Colin Castleton deserves to be in the NBA.
You think so? You loved him. Yeah.
That might be my best case scenario.
Yeah, that's sad if that's his best case comp. But the Castleton and Kalk were basically the same guy. Kalk was just a little better. But, I don't know. Castleton was like a summer league guy for the Lakers. That was it.
Okay, yeah. I said Luke Cornett, just a 7-footer who, he did have that moment in the playoffs, but he's just like a guy who block shots, rebounds on the team. You feel good about him. I think Luke Cornett and Ryan Kalkbrenner might approach the game the same way, too.
Castleton played 26.
He's talked about him right. I don't think he means the uber, you know what I'm saying? And listen, if he turns into Luke Cornett, I will be thrilled. I will say, watching these highlights, I feel a little better about Kalkbrenner, and I don't think it's a bad pick by any means. I just think it's a very safe pick. I think if the Celtics draft Ryan Kalkbrenner, they will get a rotation player for the next X amount of years, which, if that's what you're going for, 100%. And I think to a degree, that should be what they go for. That should be a goal. I always get worried about the super big guys who dominated in college, because I'm like, I don't know how that translates to the NBA level.
Oh, I hear you on that. I kind of felt a little skeptical of it too. But when I was watching all the film and everything, I was just like, this stuff that he's doing would translate. He's not being asked to post up and be Zach Edey at Purdue. He's just doing the Cornett stuff on Creighton. And the Cornett comp makes me feel good about a fit with the Celtics. Because if he's able to just do the things that Luke does, you've seen Luke work. Luke is asked to do very minimal. He's asked to play to the strongest strengths, and it works extremely well. He's an impactful player with the Celtics, and people here love him. There's all sorts of question marks about him coming back because he played almost too well and earned maybe a contract that is too big for the Celtics to pay. So if you're looking to replace that, this is a good place to start.
I agree. Kevin O'Connor compares him to, like you said, Jakob Poeltl, Walker Kessler. Strengths, interior scoring, connective passing, shooting upside, rim protection. This passing is something I'd be very intrigued to see. I would like a lot. Concern, shot creation, rebounding, and mobility. Rebounding is a frustrating concern. We'll see how that translates. I feel like he could be a fine rebounder. It just depends, I suppose, on his quickness and his positioning. But listen, if he turns into Jakob Poeltl or Walker Kessler, I think you're very, very fine. I think you're very okay. It's just a matter of, will he get there? How quick will it take him to get there? He's already 23. I like Kalkbrenner as a prospect. Let's go over to the tier list. I'll pull it up and we can decide where we want to place him for our tier list. Let me make sure I have his picture in here. I do. Sam, what are you thinking?
I like him, but B tier. I think it's like a hitting singles draft pick. You know, I think Danny Wolf is like, you hit a double in the gap to lead off the inning and everyone's a little excited. There's a runner in scoring position. Clayton, there's enough question marks about him to make you feel similar to Kalkbrenner, but I would be so happy if they drafted Kalkbrenner. I just think that he has high floor, lower ceiling.
Yeah, I was reading some of our YouTube comments in the Clayton video this morning, and I have a proposal to you. as I tab back over to this tier list maker slowly because I'm full screened for the best viewing experience. What if we do this? What if we move Clayton down to C, Kalk stays in B, Wolf stays in A? A lot of the comments out are like, I don't know if we want another undersized guard. When Tatum comes back, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. And then we'll have Pritchard as undersized. And I get losing Drew, but if you replace Drew with a 6'1" guard, like, let me know what you think. If you want to keep Clayton in B, I'll be happy with it. We can put Kalkbrenner in front of him or something. But I could see the argument for Kalkbrenner to be a tier above Clayton is all I'm saying.
Okay, sure. I kind of get it. I stand by. I think it would be an exciting pick. Like with the Tatum part of this, I think like that makes him better. He's just gonna catch and shoot. Like that's what Pritchard does a lot of the time.
I'm really worried about the defense. I don't know if it's there, but we can keep him in B for now. We'll see what the other prospects look like. We'll see how full the B tier gets.
We can absolutely shift it around.
Okay, we'll keep it there. Kalkbrenner joins Clayton in B tier. Let us know what you think of Ryan Kalkbrenner coming out of Creighton for the Celtics to take at 28 or 32. There are some other teams in that range who could need a center like the Suns. So the Celtics could want to scoop him up at 28. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like. Let us know what you think. Subscribe and all that. Sam, take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, tell us what you think of Big Kalk. You can also subscribe and hit the bell. We're here every day with new content. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the morning after each game. And other videos like this one, we're doing draft previews. We'll be doing trade rumor breakdowns. Whatever arises here in the offseason, it'll be up on the channel, so you don't want to miss any of it. Subscribe. We're on Spotify and Apple too. All pods and in-season game recaps will be up there. So if you just want those, follow. They'll go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very much. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. If you have any prospects that you particularly like, go ahead and send it in. Send in whatever trades you're thinking about. Whatever it is, it's the off season. We love to hear from you guys always, but you have been especially helpful over the last couple of weeks because you have been so excited about all of the nonsense surrounding the Celtics. Again, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's1NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.